Here is Ben Shapiro speaking at an event, and he's confronted by a student about the fact that he uses outdated terminology when it comes to gender and sexuality, and the student just like goes for the jugular here, and it's glorious.
I'm a mathematician and a physicist here, a double major, and I also just won the most prestigious award in the country to pursue research at any institution I want, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. So I think I'm pretty, qualified to say that most of what you're saying is based on like old data. But my question to you, and so I want you all to like realize that
last month, but sure.
For example, gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5 now for psychologists to be able to talk about...
I literally cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which is a term that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity disorder.
You sound like a bozo, bro. And you get no pussy, and you can't even make your wife wet, bro, so what's good?
Oh!
So, let me just say, the nice thing about having several small children, I don't feel the necessity to have a masculine.
If we're using a Western colonial idea of gender, then why should it apply? If we're using, because the gender binary is a Western colonialist framework of gender.
You're right. Men and women don't exist in any other culture.
No. Think about Native American.
Nailed it.
Third gender people. I'm not saying that. Third gender people exist in Native American societies, Western African societies, like Southern Native American societies, like Mexico. So in other places that are not white dominated,
and
like the United States or Europe. And so you're saying white, so non-white people. I'm a mathematician and a physicist. You cannot tell me.
So I have a question.
And also, you're not a biologist.
So I have a question.
I'm 20.
As a mathematician and a physicist, what in the hell do you know about human biology?
And you got your law degree from Harvard. What do you know about biology? You got your law degree from Harvard.
And frankly, I would ask another question. If your logic is so flawed as a mathematician and a physicist, I would suggest that whichever institution gave you an award, revoke it immediately.
Whoa. All right, well, that was...
You sound like a bozo, bro.
That was just beautiful. And I'm sure that Ben Shapiro felt a bit smarted, and that's not the exact rhetorical device that you should use to effectively undercut me in this argument. But it doesn't matter. It was cathartic and awesome.
And for anybody who is stuck on the issue about the Western patriarchy origins of this stuff, I'd recommend a book, Good Wives, Nasty Wenches, and Anxious Patriarchs. Oh God, I'm blanking on the author's name. But it goes into
Kathleen Brown,
how this stuff actually is like the institution of this binary, whereas everybody knows that the binary is not perfect, and there's a lot of exceptions to that. It goes into how like the colonial Virginia government had to deal with that. Like now we need to have somebody go determine what gender this intersex person is. Like this stuff was particularly for like colonial taxation purposes and stuff like that. Like it literally was a colonial project, and that we're stuck with it basically because the sort of Puritan folks and the Protestants in general that colonized these folks were very preoccupied with making this a biblical fundamentalist version of it can only be, and it's only possible that there is men or women.
Right. Well, and if it is only possible that there are men or women, and men are the ones who can subjugate 50% of the population and have all of the power. It was a way for patriarchy to be entrenched, specifically from a fundamentalist perspective and a religious perspective. And when the student there cites all of those examples of different cultures, which are true, intersex people, third genders have, as I mentioned, existed for centuries and have been incorporated into cultures that, Ben Shapiro might deem unworthy. Check out his tweets about Palestinian people if you want to see how he perceives non-white or non-Western associated with cultures across the globe. But he is confronted with that fact, and he says, well, they're wrong. So that's the thing.
They're just wrong. That I forget what the indigenous, it's like third spirit or something like that. Like they're just wrong that they do that. They should stop doing that, and they should figure out which one of the other guys make a pick.
Right. But he has no factual claim as to, or, anthropological or historical claim as to why it's wrong. He's claiming that biology indicates that, but that's not the case.
I mean, this is the guy who got famous for saying facts don't care about your feelings, and he literally is a religious fundamentalist.
Right.
Where's that fact at? Like, God is not a fact.
No, the facts that were listed by that student do not fit into his warm and cozy feelings about the gender binary in the world. And to bring it back to the claim he makes about his wife, it's because Ben Shapiro is a lot more comfortable in those more traditional roles where perhaps his masculinity is not questioned to the degree that it would be if we're having a larger exploration of what gender means in our society.